Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a Booker Mode video for you. This is only my third Booker Mode video I've ever done. I did one back in the spring, where I reimagined how WCW should have done Dusty Rhodes in the NWO. And I did one in the fall, where I basically said, I think it was in the fall, where I basically said how, actually I think it was late summer. Anyway, it was pretty much what WWF at the time should have done for the build and the card of Wrestlemania 15. Excuse me. Now, I've talked about wanting to do other Booker Mode videos, so I was a little hesitant to do a second card right away, but that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to do what WWE should do for WrestleMania 37 this April. Now, today's date is the 23rd of January. The Royal Rumble is a week from tomorrow. So we're just a little under 3 months away from Mania. So, what we know now, at the moment, at least for now, WrestleMania 37 is going to be a 2-night event live from the Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa, Florida. And it is going to be hopefully there, I believe the plan is for fans to be there. If it's just going to be this big, in-depth, fucking just huge version of the Superdome, I could care less, really. But more importantly, if it's going to, after WrestleMania last year having no fans, and to be a 2-night event for this year, I think it would be just to go for as big a show as possibly you could do. Now, I really didn't want to book a 2-night event. I kind of wish I would shot this video earlier in the month, so I wouldn't have had to do it that way. But my idea is I got to go with what we know now. And also keeping with that gimmick, I put some limitations for myself. I decided not to predict any wild title changes. I don't expect any of the title matches booked going into Royal Rumble right now. I don't expect any of those titles to change. And for the exception of one or two, maybe I think just one, I'm not gonna predict any titles change between now and Mania. So pretty much whoever the champion is right now, is who's gonna be for the sake of my card. And also, I really think one of the lamest things about the WWE over the last 10 years has been that WrestleMania has become a guest star show. I mean, sure, they always had their celebrity involvement and celebrity tie-ins, but it wasn't. Well, there was. Never mind. There was Lawrence Fishburne versus Bam Bam Bigelow, but that's like one of the worst WrestleManias ever. The point is, it has really sucked having all these legends come out, and half the card for WrestleMania now is guest star matches. You know what I mean? I think that sucks. So I just really wanted to stick to, for the most part, wrestlers who we have been invested in and who have been gotten over the last 12 months, as well as wanting to have payoffs to certain storylines. Some storylines that the WWE has kind of quietly dropped since, but we spent so much time on them, I wanted something to come out of it. So I booked it for this show. And one more thing, I could not be bothered with Charlotte Flair. I kept looking for a place for her on the card, and just like, even with 16 matches to fill out here, no, I don't care. I know she's going to be on the card. She's going to be in a prominent spot. Since the second she's come back, the entire storyline, women's division, has revolved around her, as it always does, and that always sucks. So, this is a little too bright. Turn this down. That's on my eye. Ain't her. So, yeah, I just don't. So no Charlotte. I have one opening for her to be involved in something. If you want her in there, she's in there. So here we go. Night 1 of WrestleMania 37 in Raymond James Stadium. Hopefully in front of 60, 70, 80,000 fans. It would be great. So I would kick off the show with a Pat Patterson Memorial Intergender Invitational Battle Royale. And you kind of do it like a Royal Rumble. You know, every 60 seconds someone else comes out, but there's no numbers. You don't really know how many people are going to be in this. Just, you know, they're all in there when people stop coming out, kind of thing. It could be really fun. And I want to intergender because, you know, look, Patterson, not because he was gay, but he was very innovative and revolutionary mind for professional wrestling. And not only to have a good Memorial Battle Royal for him, this will also kind of make up for not having the men's Battle Royal and the women's Battle Royal kind of throw it into one big match. And you can also have some nice, fun, wild comedy shit, as well as some spectacularity to kick off the show. Specifically, I want to have one moment in the match where Nia Jax is in there, and yes, if you want, Charlotte Flair can be somewhere in here. If you don't. Nia Jax she'd be throwing around a lot of the smaller dudes. Boom, throws fucking Ricochet away the hell over there. Lince Dorado, get the fuck out of here. Throws this guy off to the side. It would be hysterical. And then she goes up to Angel Garza. And you just kind of back into the corner and rip off his pants. And go, Of course, she just knocked the hell out of him after that. Rhea Ripley would run out, would be next out, and she put an end to Nia Jax's domination. I definitely want a spot where Rhea Ripley does a fireman's carry move to Nia Jax. She can hit an F5 if you want, but I guess the go-to move would be a Samoan drop. I would want Bayley to come out in this match, cut a promo during her whole time walking to the ring, guaranteeing that she is going to make a WrestleMania moment tonight, and then immediately get thrown right the fuck out. The match would come down to Ricochet versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin would have Ricochet on his shoulder. All his momentum go charging towards over the rope. Ricochet flip him over, hang on to the top rope. Baron Corbin flips out. He's eliminated, and Ricochet wins the Pat Patterson Memorial Battle Royale. That's what I would do with it. And instead of like a trophy or a ridiculous cup, they would hand him the original Intercontinental Championship belt. He's not Intercontinental Champion. He would never walk out with it again, but just, this is a trophy for you, you know? I think that would be nice. I mean, it's all kayfabe anyways. You want Pat Patterson's family to have that, but you get the sentiment. Backstage, after the match, we would see Bayley, and she would promise that moment in the Royal Battle Royale would not be her WrestleMania moment. Mark her words. Up next, we'd have the brand new babyface Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Antonio Cesaro. Fuck yes. This would be a great, great match. And there's no point in turning Shinsuke face, splitting up the team, and not having a blow-off match between these two guys. I mean, this could be a great match, especially for WrestleMania. So basically, the build would just be both guys are wanting to go their separate ways. And I would do like, they would first be like friendly about it, you know, friendly rivalry, and then Shinsuke would eliminate Cesaro from the Royal Rumble. Cesaro would then, at the beginning of SmackDown after the Royal Rumble, first match, first entrance, Shinsuke's walking out, and boom, he's attacked by Cesaro. And the match never happens. Cesaro drives him all the way to the back, drops down the big old, big old steel doors, just BAM! Drops it down on his knee. Fucking up Shinsuke. Shinsuke's off TV for 2-3 weeks. Every week before Cesaro dominates somebody, he'll come out and he'll cut a promo dedicating the match to his former tag team partner, Shinsuke Nakamura, who unfortunately cannot be here tonight. By the time we get to WrestleMania, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks before WrestleMania, same thing. Cesaro's walking out, first match, first entrance, and boom, Shinsuke hits him. But they brought in stuff like that, but the story of the match going into it would be Shinsuke's knee is still damaged. And that's your match. They would just, the physicality the guys would bring, and storytelling would be great. And the story of the knee would all you really need to play on some legitimate drama. The finish would come, Shinsuke goes for the Kinshasa, hits it on Cesaro, but can't get the cover because it took too much out of his knee. He'd eventually try to get over there. Cesaro would kick out. Cesaro would lock in a sharpshooter. Shinsuke get to the ropes. Shinsuke go try to get his build back up, go for a second Kinshasa, but his knee would give out, leaving him vulnerable for that European uppercut. That's the best European uppercut ever. I kind of feel like it should be his finisher. But I'm going to go and say European uppercut, neutralizer, and Cesaro gets the win. Up next would be a triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The reigning champions, the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, fighting the Street Profits, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins, and Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis. This should just be standard fare. This could be just a fun match. Guys like, of course, Ziggler, Roode, and Chad Gable could do some great chain wrestling. And Montez Ford could do some huge jumps and theatrics. Otis and Dawkins could do some really funny shit together. It could be just an entertaining, fun match to watch. Especially slow down to after the brutal match we would hopefully have just had. The finish would be, bam, frog splash on Montez, but he can't get the cover. Otis throws Montez out. Chad Gable covers Dolph Ziggler, and the Alpha Academy, Otis and Chad Gable would walk out of WrestleMania as the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Up next, there's been a lot of talk about Adam Pearce getting in the ring. Now, with all this build, and even a teased match at the Rumble, it's not going to happen, and a teased match against Paul Heyman last night, which ended up just him getting beat up by Roman Reigns, this is going to pay off. There's no way this isn't going to happen. So when it comes down to if Adam Pearce, the guy who is retired, long retired, and has never had a run in the WWE, so you have to assume casual fans don't know his history. I don't know his history, even though I definitely, when he popped up as the new authority figure, oh yeah, I remember hearing about him on the Indies back in the day. So, who is reliable, who is phenomenal, and who can have a good match with anyone? And that's AJ Styles. AJ Styles needs to be Adam Pearce's opponent. They could work out a classic thing that could play to Pearce's strengths. Styles' whole story into it would be egging him, goating him into the match, and eventually Triple H would force Pearce to have the match. And once the match would be, booked and official, and Pearce is back against the wall, he would be like no fear towards Styles. He's all in. If it's literally going to be my last match, but it's also my only opportunity for WrestleMania. So if I die in that ring, AJ Styles, you're going to get my all. It could be good storytelling here. Of course, AJ would win. I would not have Pearce tap out to the calf crusher. I know a submission isn't the devastating loss it used to be now in pro wrestling, but I still think it would be better just to take him out. Safest way to go about would just to have Styles end it with the phenomenal forearm. Up next, a grudge match. Mustafa Ali versus Kofi Kingston. Now, they've already been hinting at this, and I really hope they do this for Mania. But exactly, Mustafa Ali was supposed to be the guy, the guy who was, scripted to be fighting Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35 2 years ago. But then he got hurt. Kofi took his place, and the most cathartic moment in wrestling history happened. Kofi Kingston, that was amazing when Kofi won. It really was a great moment. So that's the whole story. You would have, Kofi's out right now, and they keep what they have been doing. Stay on that track. Mustafa Ali and Retribution attack Xavier every week until Kofi eventually accepts a match for WrestleMania. And Retribution comes out, all of them, with Ali. But by the time we get to Mania, Xavier's hurt, so it's Kofi completely by himself at WrestleMania for the first time in a very long time. Yeah, sure. And it could be a big flippy, jumpy fest. These guys could have a really good match. You could. But, the story of the match would be the numbers game. Retribution cheating at every chance they get. Eventually, Xavier would try to come down to even the odds. But his vulnerability would just be more of a distraction to Kofi. And then, boom, the new member of the Retribution would hit the ring. Dabakoto. He hit whatever big squash finisher he has, powerbomb, whatever you want. He leave Kofi to waste. Ali hits his sweet backflip 450, and Mustafa Ali would pick up the win because you'd want the story to go somewhere. And also, after everything Retribution, you got this big push, and then they became jobbers, and now it looks like they're going to try to push them again. It's just make it worth something. You know what I mean? some kind of payoff to this nonsense. Up next is a match that's definitely not going to happen in WrestleMania, but it probably should have. Rey Mysterio versus Buddy Murphy. Absolutely. Buddy Murphy spent the last year and a half, pretty much, anytime you saw him on TV, he was standing next to a legend, a world champion, and very close to the main storyline picture. Had that pay off for the guy? It's that simple, man. One night, you bring him back, and then one night, him and Dominic are in a tag match, and after they lose, and Leah's in their corner, Ray's not there, him and his wife are going somewhere else that night, and he attacks Dominic. He forces Aaliyah to watch it. He brutalizes Dominic, and looks down at the camera and says, Ray, this is all your fault. Rey Mysterio wants his ass. He wants to kill the son of a bitch next week. And basically, Murphy would say, if you want to fight me, I want something out of it. I don't just want to be another match you have at a random WrestleMania. I want to be the man who ends Rey Mysterio. And he has Rey put his career on the line, but not just in any match. An I Quit match. I mean, look, these guys are both so phenomenal. It'd be great. Rey's, I've said many times, is maybe the greatest babyface in wrestling history. But, I mean, Murphy has to win. But how he wins is going to be just dastardly. He would eventually handcuff Rey Mysterio. The punishment's not doing it. Just no matter how much he focuses damage on Rey's knee and on his injured body parts over the years and on his eye even, it's not putting Rey down. Rey will not give up his career to this piece of shit. So he eventually will handcuff Rey Mysterio to the ring post. The family comes out to Dominic to help, and he beats the shit out of Dominic. Starts wailing on a kendo stick. Dominic will have his handcuffs, or better yet, Dominic would be like crucified like the Sandman used to do to fuckers to the ring ropes on the outside of the ring, just wailing away on his midsection with a kendo stick. Rey won't give up. He can't give up. Dominic's telling him, "Don't quit." The wife would come. Aaliyah would come out there. He'd get his hands on Aaliyah. Rey's begging him. The wife, Angie, would come out there, hit her with a V-trigger. Hits her with the fucking V-trigger. Oh, it'd be so awful. And then he'd go under the ring, pull out a bag, and in the bag would be a lighter and lighter fluid. He'd start pouring the lighter fluid in Aaliyah's hair. He'd light the lighter and say, "This is your last chance, Rey. This is it." And Rey would quit. He'd throw the girl down, and he'd walk off so triumphant, so fulfilled, legendary. I've just created for you a brand new, most horrible villain in the world. Up next would be for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre defends against Sheamus. Sheamus, in my opinion, over the last several months, has been about the most compelling character on Monday Night Raw. I think he's just been great. The story with him and Drew McIntyre is absolutely fascinating, and it has to go to WrestleMania. I would not 100% turn Sheamus in this match. I would tease at turning him heel. They've kind of been teasing at turning him face. He's like a tweener right now. But I would not pull the trigger. The whole deal is that Sheamus is going to screw over Drew McIntyre. And can Drew trust Sheamus to have a straightforward match? We'd have the package, and just right before the match is about to be announced, while whatever her name is, standing there announcing the rules, it's announced at the last minute this will become no disqualification. So fuck it. They're going to have a fucking wild Irish brawl anyways. Sheamus would kick out of the Claymore. Or Claiborne, whatever the fuck it's called. He'd kick out of the Claiborne. Make him look that tough. Sheamus hits the bro kick. Drew kicks out. He hits two more bro kicks back to back, and Sheamus and Drew kicks out. He drags the steel steps in the ring, hits he does the funky chicken. It's the funky chicken. Drew McIntyre. White noise, that's what he calls it. The Celtic Cross is what it's really called. He hits that on him. And Drew kicks out again. A fourth bro kick. Fucking Drew kicks out. Finally goes outside. He gets a steel chair. And when he goes to swing it, bam! Claiborne into the chair, into the face. and Drew McIntyre would retain. After the match, there's no handshake, there's no hug. Sheamus just say, "Not tonight, fella," and he'd leave. Keep the story going, because I'm really intrigued by all this shit, and I think this could possibly go on for quite a while. Eventually, it could be a situation of Drew McIntyre's paranoia, constantly waiting for Sheamus to turn on him, would cause him to be the one to pull the trigger of betrayal and be the one to turn heel. That could be cool. Anyhow, night 1, main event. Oh my god, night 1. Might split this up in 2 videos. No, fuck it. Power 2. My phone YouTube may actually make me split into 2 videos, to be honest with you. Drew McIntyre and night 1 main event, Asuka versus Shayna Baszler, this is how we get here. Shayna Baszler would win the Women's Royal Rumble. Shocker, I know, right? But you gotta look. Over the last few months, they've really had her jobbing a lot, and they've had her kind of been playing second fiddle to Nia Jax. So this is how I would reestablish Shayna as a dominant badass. At the Women's Royal Rumble, there's no eliminations for quite a while. The ring is filling up. All the women are looking very impressive. Everyone came to win. And then number 13 hits, and it's Shayna fucking Baszler. And she throws everybody the fuck out. She would finally eliminate to win the match, the number 30 entrant, a returning Becky Lynch. Throws out Becky, she wins the Royal Rumble, and she definitely wants to fight Asuka. Give us this dream match that we've been wanting and treat it properly. Going into WrestleMania, Asuka and Charlotte are defending the belts all over all 3 brands constantly. Eventually, through exhaustion and not being able to work together because Asuka's focused on Baszler and WrestleMania, they eventually lose the titles on NXT to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Now, I know a lot of people want the Riot Squad to be tag team champions, but I'm sorry, I know they're the longest running tag team in the company, but they've never been treated like anything more than jobbers, and it's hard for me to accept them being champions right now. Despite the fact that Liv Morgan is like one of the most popular girls in the whole company. And yeah, this would be hard-hitting, badass, have them hold nothing back, make it a proper feel-good, a proper moment that feels like a good end to the first night of the show. And yeah, Baszler wins by submission, chokes, not a tap-out, but a knockout, chokes out Asuka, and Shayna Baszler is finally the Raw Women's Champion. Okay, fuck it, I'm going to try to power through. Night 2, we kick off the show with a 6-man ladder match for the NXT Championship. You goddamn right. Finn Balor defending against Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly. Build up to this match could be so fucking fascinating. Finn Balor can act like he's the only one that's ever actually had a match at WrestleMania before, and he's won too, so he has that advantage. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole could be at each other's throat. Both want to be the champion, both in Undisputed Era. Johnny Gargano would be great for weeks going into this match, constantly hyping up. He's going to walk out of WrestleMania, Johnny 2 belts. It could be good stuff. These guys have the best match of the fucking weekend. It would definitely be a hands-down no-brainer, and everyone would hate me for how it would end. Imperium hits the ring. Yes. All 4 of them, and they destroy the entire rundown. Everyone's down, everyone's out, and then they leave. Get nuclear heat, booed to high heaven. And just when it looks like Kyle O'Reilly is the only man stirring, and he's starting to set up a ladder, boom, he's jumped by The Miz and John Morrison. The Miz hands the Money in the Bank contract over, climbs the ladder, and The Miz is NXT champion. People would hate it so much. It would be the best kind of heat. And to have Miz going on to NXT every week, talking about back when he was, my first NXT, I was the pro and you were all rookies. Oh man, it could be great. It could be just really fucking great. Up next, is for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha Banks defends against Bianca Belair. The build to this, it would be, I would have Sasha Banks would challenge Bianca. Basically feeling that she's fought all the other women on SmackDown at the time. She's never fought Bianca, and she thinks she could have a great match at WrestleMania. Bianca then would start getting into her head, well, you never really had a long reign, and you're 0-5 at WrestleMania. So even though it's my first show, I'm still the favorite. I'm stronger than you. I'm faster than you. I'm younger than you. Baby, I'm better than you. It could be a great feud. And, yeah, they would have a great match. Bianca would be dominant. Eventually, Bayley would come down to cause interference. Thinks she's going to interfere for Sasha, for Bianca, and distract both girls, or calls the match to be thrown out because she hates them both. But no, boom. It's distracting the ref. And Sasha Banks would club Bianca with brass knuckles and retain the SmackDown Women's title, turning heel again and joining back up with Bayley. I know it's overdoing what they just were doing a few months ago, but look, let's be honest. Neither Bayley or Sasha Banks have been as interesting since they split them up. They bring out the best in each other, and in an era where we got like no tag teams, I really don't see anything wrong with them just continuing to dominate the women's division on SmackDown. Just let them do it. They're doing a great job. Just do that. Up next would be for the Intercontinental Championship. Big E Langston defending against Jey Uso. 1-on-1. I mean, just be a great match. Jey Uso could win a small battle royal, maybe a tournament, suicide six match, whatever you want to call it, to get the title shot here. And then he fucking wins. Low blow, pair of super kicks, superfly hush, Annie. Superfly splash, and Jey Uso is the new Intercontinental Champion. After the match, backstage, he'd go back to where Roman is, preparing for the main event. Roman basically congratulate him, and Paul Heyman hyped that for the first time in WrestleMania history, a member of the Iowati, probably mispronounced that, I'll just go forward. My Vaya family, that's close enough. Two members of the family are walking out with championships on the same night. At least I think that's accurate. Yeah, that's accurate. It was for a WrestleMania. Up next would be, look, there's been no real build to this, but they're both on SmackDown. And yeah, I want to see it for WrestleMania. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. What should the build be? Just promo time. Have these guys bump into each other at the Royal Rumble, and then they start cutting promos until they got all the history. They've never had a bad match. Just give them 15-20 minutes at WrestleMania to have a barn burner. That's all you need. Kevin Owens would hit a stunner, and Kevin Owens would win. Mainly, Kevin Owens has to win this because it's pretty heel heavy, W-wise, on the show. Up next would be a triple threat match for the United States Championship. Bobby Lashley will come out with all three members of the Hurt Business. Yes, keep them tag team champions. They could be in the Battle Royal the first night. All four members of the Hurt Business come out for Bobby Lashley to defend the U.S. title in triple threat against Keith Lee and Braun Strowman. I want all the members of the Hurt Business out there specifically because I want the spot. Could you go somewhere else with that loudness? Sorry. Anyhow, I would want to have a moment where Braun Strowman runs around the outside of the ring, shoulder blocking all three guys. Cedric bounces huge. Sheldon would bounce huge, and of course, finally, MVP. The finish would be Keith Lee hits the Spirit Bomb on Bobby Lashley to become the new United States Champion. Show Keith Lee some love, people. Come on. Up next will be the Viper Pit Death Match. Randy Orton versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. I thought about maybe doing a Firefly Funhouse match, but come on, dude. Assuming there's going to be fans here, you don't want to do a pre-recorded match. Come on. You don't want to do something like that for this kind of show. We've seen enough of those anyways. So I would do an old school death match. The guys fight, falls count anywhere, anything goes till there's a pinfall or submission, and then the loser has a 10 count to get to his feet in order to continue the match. It would be about endurance. It would be about virtually killing your opponent. Hello. Anyhow, Alexa Bliss would be involved in this match. She'd be out there with Bray Wyatt, and I would have her take an RKO, because Randy Orton's an evil piece of crap. And also, gotta say one more thing. That bleached out S&M mask he's wearing right now, that's gone by WrestleMania. I'd have the Big Show try to interfere in this match, and the Fiend would attack him. I'd have Edge try to interfere in this match. Both guys trying to help the Fiend beat Randy Orton, and both times the Fiend would attack them. He doesn't want their help. He doesn't need them. The Fiend looks like he's going for Sister Abigail. It looks like he would hit Sister Abigail. He's doing that thing where he's hanging upside down in the ropes, calling for something else, something maybe more brutal. Goes underneath the ring, maybe looking for his big, ridiculous cartoon mallet, and boom! He's attacked by John Cena. That's right, the Fiend is attacked by John Cena. John Cena had been lost in the hellscape of the Firefly Funhouse for a year. No one's seen him. He virtually has been inexistent. He attacks him. F5 through an announce table. F5 on the floor. F5, FU. Onto AA, whatever he calls it this week. Onto the steps. Finally throw the Fiend in the ring and go eye to eye with Randy Orton. And he would smile at Randy Orton. He'd put the Fiend in the STF, and while holding him up like that, Randy Orton would be running, boom, and punt him. Pin him. Fiend doesn't get up. He's basically been decapitated. After the match, they'd stare each other down, and John Cena would hug Randy Orton, raising his hand, declaring him the winner. John Cena's turned heel. Turned heel, and not only turned heel, but aligned himself with his worst enemy. Crowd would be booing or cheering, depending. He'd get up on the ramp and raise his hand again. This could be really cool moving forward. Semi-main event time. As I said, Becky Lynch wins the returns at the Women's Royal Rumble. The next night on Raw, she's super happy to be back. Stephanie McMahon comes back and says, "I'm not happy you're back. I was happy you were gone. I'm sick of you're here. And you don't just get to walk back and call and claim this thing. If you can't win the Elimination Chamber match, you don't get a match at WrestleMania." And then Stephanie would cost her the Elimination Chamber match. Make the Chamber match Asuka defend the belt in a chamber. She would cost Becky the Chamber match. Becky would then start going right after Stephanie, challenging Stephanie McMahon and ruining Monday Night Raw every single week until she gets Stephanie McMahon in the ring, causing sit-ins, power problems, just all kinds of Stone Cold-like stuff. Because remember, go back to what got her over. You know what I mean? Eventually, Stephanie would step the match, and I would keep it a traditional match. You don't want to make it no holds barred. You don't want to see Stephanie do kind of quite all the insane stuff her brother and her dad did back in the day. Because she's already in her 40s. You don't really want her to try to take that kind of risk.